Thanks so much, Amy. Absolutely enjoying the show. Fabulous guests, as always. I'm Martine from Martini Mornings, and I am, of course, therapist to the stars. Now, a lot of what my patients are telling me and the mail that we got from our last segment is the utter confusion that is COVID-19, the virus, and our lockdown. How can we navigate to get through this? It is so confusing. You might have lots of symptoms if you get the virus, but you can also get symptoms without getting the virus. You can get the virus without any symptoms, or be contagious without symptoms. You can be non-contagious with symptoms. It's sort of a lucky, unlucky dip. You can go and get yourself tested. Maybe they'll test you. Who knows? It's crazy out there. To protect yourself, you should eat well, exercise, but eat whatever you have on hand, because it's better not to go to the shops and leave. Now, Amy, it is best if you do go to the shops just to pop out for a toilet roll or a fence panel at this stage in the COVID-19 lockdown. It is, of course, important to get fresh air. Don't go to parks, but go for a walk. Don't sit down unless you're old, but not for too long. You can sit down if you're pregnant, but not for too long. But not if you're old or pregnant. Don't sit down then. And don't eat a picnic unless you've had a long walk, which you're not allowed to do if you're old or pregnant anyway. And definitely don't visit older people. But if you have to take care of old people, bring them food and medication, but you can't actually see your older mother or grandmother, but you can take a taxi and meet an older taxi driver. It's confusing, isn't it? I'm popping out for a walk right now. So Amy, the clear message here is to stay home, but it's very important to go out as well. You're safe if you maintain the safe social distance when you go out, but you can't go out with friends or strangers at the safe social distance. That's always problematic. The number of corona deaths, related deaths, will be announced daily, but we don't know how many people are infected, as they're only testing those who are almost dead to find out who and what they will die of. And the people who die of corona aren't counted or won't be counted, or maybe they won't be. And we should stay locked down until the virus stops infecting people, but it will only stop infecting people if we all get infected. So it's important we get infected and some don't get infected. Now, Amy, this is the important stuff. You must not leave the house for any reason, but if you have a reason, you can leave the house. Now, shops are closed except the shops that are open. Masks are useless at protecting you against the virus, but you may have to wear one because it can save lives. But they might not work. They might be mandatory, but maybe not. Also, gloves, they're not going to help. It's going to be problematic. You can wear them sometimes you don't, but they're not going to help anyway. This virus is going to kill people, but don't be scared of it. It's only going to kill those people who are vulnerable. Those people who are not vulnerable as well are going to get killed. It's possible to contain it and control it, except that sometimes it actually leads to global disasters as well. It's complicated. Also, Amy, there's a clear shortage on toilet paper as well as masks and gloves. We all know this. Now, buying substitutes is not going to work either. I've bought some substitutes here. It was the only thing that was on the shelf. Putting one of those on your head, I understand now, is not going to assist. So, if you are sick, you can go out when you're better, but anyone else in your household can't go out when you're better unless they need to go out. And over the fence with the neighbours, well, you can join your neighbours for a street party, turn the music up right up loud. For an outside disco, your neighbours won't call the police, but people in another street, they're allowed to call the police about your music whilst they're also having a party, which you're allowed to call the police about. Now, Amy, you can get restaurant food delivered to the house. This has been the lifesaver, really, of the whole lockdown. These deliveries are absolutely safe. But groceries that you bring back to your house, they have to be decontaminated outside for 3 hours. Now, that includes frozen pizzas. Now, fortunately, we've been told by the government that no business will go down to this coronavirus and the lockdowns, except for those businesses that will go down to the lockdown and coronavirus. So we'll have to get back to you on that one as well. So if you ring for assistance during the crisis, probably the crisis will be over by the time the government will get back to you. So save your time and don't bother. I'll now go and decontaminate my groceries and probably ring up for a pizza instead. So here I am, Amy, in my kitchen, and my husband apologises profusely because we've been here for 6 weeks and he's still unpacking. But I'm going to show you how we do decontaminate our groceries as we unpack. So here I have my groceries, and before you start sending in the comments to EPA, they are they're not plastic straws, they're paper straws that my daughters insist on drinking everything out of. So I have my groceries here. You have a clean side and a dirty side of the bench, and you keep it on one side. You spray it down, ladies and gentlemen. You turn it on somehow. Apologies for that. I had to get one of the servants to show me how to turn it on. It's been terrible. A lot of people have lost their jobs in this crisis and had to learn new skills that we never thought we had to, and I'm just one of those. So you've got to wear the gloves, you've got to have the cleaner, make sure it is working, and spraying. Spray your groceries, even if they have been delivered to the door, because some dirty person has delivered them. And of course there is no shortage of groceries, Amy, in the supermarkets. There might be some things missing. You might not need all those toilet rolls that we have been gathering along, but you should try and get some just in case. So another good reason not to wear gloves is that you get this powdery residue all over your top. So that's why I'm refraining from wearing gloves as well. Also the fact that they are useless. So the virus does remain active on different surfaces for many hours, Amy. 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. And I mean days actually, not hours. But it actually needs a damp environment or a cold environment that is also warm and dry, often in the air, as long as the air is not plastic. So some more food for thought. Now, Amy, fortunately, the virus doesn't affect children, except those children it does affect. And animals not affected, but there has been a few cats tested in Belgium in February when no one had been tested. Also a few tigers here and there, so I would suggest keep away, at least 2 metres away from tigers. So Amy, welcome to Martini Morning's School of Home Learning. As you know, schools are closed, so we are left to educate our children at school. This is little Sophie, and she's been aptly educated by Mummy herself. So unless you can send them to school because you're not at home, I unfortunately am home, so I'm having to educate her in the home environment. So if you are at home, you can educate the children using various portals and virtual classrooms, unless you have poor internet or only one computer, or if you are working from home, it's a bloody mess, let me tell you. Schools may or may not have this under control, or may not be able to assist you. Now, baking cakes can be considered maths, science, or even art. For sport, you can make them clean. You can even give them a vacuum cleaner. You are at home educating them. You can include household chores within their education, and you bloody well should, I reckon, Amy. You should be home educating, and at this stage you are allowed to start drinking at 10 a.m. Even if you're not educating, you can start drinking at 10 a.m. Welcome to my workspace, Amy. This is where all the magic happens for me, in my studio here. It all carries on as normal. at Martini mornings, and I work from home, which I am one of the lucky ones. Most people have been trotted off the workplace and told they can work from home, or they don't have a job at all and they can't do their job anymore, and if that's the case, then they have to go out and get a new job. Amy, pleasure as always to chat with you. I hope we have cleared some things up about the coronavirus, COVID-19 and lockdown, and I hope that all of your viewers stay safe. Now remember, a lot of people haven't been going to the doctor because they are too sick and not sick enough to go to the doctor. A lot of doctors are now going and applying for the job seeker and the job keeper payment. So let's try and keep our doctors in a job and start going back to the doctor. So love to you, Amy, and can't wait to see who you've got on next.